I like that sweater you're wearing, bro. Lakers.
Oh, thank you, man. I had to, it's kind of cold out there.
Hell yeah.
Had to pull one of my favorite hoodies out of the wardrobe.
Yeah, yeah, dope, man. Yeah, I need to get myself a Lakers hoodie for sure. I don't have any. Yeah.
This thing is like, I don't know, man, like 4 or 5 years old, man. I got a long time ago.
There you go. Memories. There's been
Yeah,
ups and downs with that hoodie.
yeah, yeah.
But yes, bro, what's up, man? We're back with the Daily Laker podcast. Thanks for your time again, Sal. I appreciate you coming by.
Yeah, man. Rough one tonight. Lakers fell to the Spurs. Um, no energy today.
Yeah.
From the jump, I think defensively we just weren't there tonight. We had a good run in the third quarter, but it fell short in the fourth quarter. I think they took all the energy back. It felt like that the Lakers were gonna do their typical Laker fashion, just turn it on and be able to overcome that hump, but they never did. That never came. The Spurs, it felt like were ready for that moment when the Lakers were going to go on their run, and
Mm.
they knew how to respond.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think another thing that I noticed was they on defense they look a little bit lost. They look like they were switching a lot. And I think the addition of Caruso in the lineup made a difference as well because he hasn't played in a few games and KCP is out, right? So I think that adds a little bit of more uncertainty. They got to figure it out now with a different lineup in a sense, right? They got one player out, one new player in, so they got to see how he fits in. So I think that was one thing that I noticed. But also, you got to give it up to the Spurs, man. Marcus Aldridge finally started playing. He was hurt for a few games with his knee, and he put up 28 points. So he showed up today with those unstoppable mid-range shots, man. He reminds me of Tim Duncan because that was Tim Duncan's go-to shot, the mid-range shot, and the Marcus Aldridge. That's what he does. I heard the announcers that last season, Marcus Aldridge led the league in mid-range shots. So he's a specialist from that range.
Yeah, he looked awesome. He's what, 34, 35 years old.
Yeah.
He looked like, he's still up there with the best of them at what he does. Um, big respect to Greg Popovich too, who I think adjusted from the first couple of games and knew how to get his team ready.
Hmm.
The Spurs were on a mission tonight. They knew they were coming to play the Clippers and the Lakers, and they went back with 2 wins. I think that says something to all Greg Popovich coach teams, that they're gonna be ready. So they look like a good team that can make the playoffs, a team that that's gonna show up and battle hard every single game. They're gonna be in a lot of games. They're not gonna get blown out. And they're always gonna be a battle. So respect to the Spurs. You know, I'm not too worried about today's loss. Because it's early, and we've been playing well. We've seen this team twice already, so they had a lot to prove, to on in to be able to say in their locker room that they could beat the Lakers. So
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about it, but nonetheless, it's not fun to see a Laker loss.
Definitely. And I was looking at the stats. Yeah, I love looking at stats. And, Marcus Saul, he only had 4 points. So he's definitely not, he has not been living up to my expectations. That's just me. I just feel like I expected a little bit more from him as far as like stats. But I think he got into a little bit of foul trouble as well. And then Kakuzma, he started the game and he did pretty good 13 points, 10 rebounds. So, double double, nothing wrong with that. Also, we had THT coming off the bench with 10 points. That's a nice push from the bench. Montrezl Harrell, 10 points, 6 rebounds. Caruso had 8 points. So the bench was there for the Lakers, but I don't think they stepped up as much as like the Spurs bench. Like Rudy Gay stepped up, Patty Mills stepped up. So I feel like the bench for the Lakers. And then Schroeder, I felt like he underperformed as well. Only 6 points, only 2 assists. As a point guard, you got to be able to distribute the ball a little bit better. LeBron James with the 12 assists. I mean, he did his thing. 27 points, 12 assists. He showed up. He was making some nice threes as well. So looking at the stats, I just feel like the bench wasn't um, as good as we've seen them.
Yeah, I don't think they were at the top of their game. I don't think they did terrible though. We did have, if I'm just really quickly adding up points, we did have at least 40 points off the bench, which what is this? Let me see. 13, 6, 19, 22, 32, 40, 50. So 55 points off the bench. That's okay. That's okay. With all the talent that we have coming off the bench, we'd like to see, somewhere between 50 and 60. So it's not too bad. Yeah, but Dennis Schroeder could have gave a little more. I think Wesley Matthews' shot wasn't going down today, which I think the
Yeah,
Lakers were expecting that to go down. I think he had a couple wide open threes that we expect him to knock those down. Like wide open, wide open.
yeah.
I actually didn't like his performance today, so we'll be seeing kind of those minutes probably be rotated, and we do have um the injury
Hmm.
to KCP. So we missed that shot making ability also tonight, but I mean, again, the Lakers are still figuring this out. We'll be okay.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The next game is tomorrow against the Chicago Bulls, so that should be exciting. They have a nice young team as well, and they've been doing good. Levine has been stepping up for them. But with the Lakers, the last two games, right? They'd won against the Memphis Grizzlies, and they look good. They had won four in a row, so they're still first in the Western Conference. So they're doing their thing. I think they're still first after today. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're 6-3. The Clippers are also 6-3. Then the Suns are 6-2. So the Suns are in first place with
Okay.
one game less. But we're up there.
Yeah, yeah. So they're good. They'll figure it out. But I did like that they were up in a 4 game winning streak. I think that shows a lot of momentum. And the Grizzlies were a little bit shorthanded, but the last game the Lakers only won by 2 points, so it's definitely a tough game, for them to to win. But they did it in the fourth quarter, right? That's what they do.
Yeah, so I think that kind of carried over into this game, because I felt like for that last game, it was an ugly game. It was ugly. We had to come back. So I felt like we were still in that groove, thinking that which we are. We're capable to come back on any team. It feels like. But it felt like that it did carry over kind of those habits that they built throughout that game, and they were good enough to come back. Um, come back against the Grizzlies, but tonight it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So,
And yeah, the second game, the last game against the Grizzlies, the Lakers were pretty much led by LeBron and AD. Like they did their
mhm,
thing. The bench underperformed again. The first game against the Grizzlies in the fourth quarter, they made their comeback, but the bench did step up on that game. Just a couple
mhm.
of notes that I had, just from looking at those games. But yeah, man, we're Lakers are still up there, so nothing to worry about. Still just the beginning of the season. There's still lineups to be figured out and all that. So we'll see how they turn out tomorrow night. We'll see how the minutes are spread out. Back to back games.
Yeah. So for tomorrow's lineup, I mean, because what was the starting lineup again today? I missed the first quarter. So
So Kuzma started instead of KCP. Other than that, it was Schroeder, Marcus Gasol, AD, LeBron.
okay, yeah. I mean, I would expect the same lineup tomorrow, unless they want to, give Kuzma, give somebody else a shot at the starting lineup. But I would expect the same starting lineup for tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Cool, man. Well, that's a it's been a short week since we last talked because
Hmm.
we talked I believe on Saturday or Sunday, so it's only been 2 games and tonight, so only 3 games. 2 wins, 1 loss since last time we had a
Yeah,
conversation.
two and one. That's not that bad. And you mentioned the four game winning streak. I would love to see the Lakers go on like a 10-game winning streak, which I think they're they're capable of. I'm not asking for that right now. I know it's
Yeah.
still early. Let us warm up into it. The one thing I do notice too is, again, they it feels like they're waiting for the fourth quarter every single time to kind of turn it on.
Hmm.
Um, I kind of don't mind it because it feels like they're trying to see when they could turn it on to have that ability. I think good teams always have that ability of turning it on, but also don't get in a bad habit of just being down all the time. You
Yeah,
know.
I'm with you on that because when you're playing against really good teams that are deep or that have superstars, they're not gonna give you the chance to come back. You know what I mean? If you're playing against the Houston Rockets and Harden is on fire, or the Warriors and Curry's on fire, you're just not gonna get that opportunity to outscore those teams, right? Uh, 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 One really cool play that I saw today was from AD. Though he did a nice spin into a dunk that looked dope. So if
Yeah.
you guys have a chance, go watch that. That was dope to watch.
Yeah, the spin moves are really good on this Laker team. I think THT had a
Oh yeah,
couple also where he's just like breaking down the defense. So I mean, THT, I'm all for more minutes for him because
yeah.
I think he's a menace in the paint. He's just able to
Mhm.
break the defense down, and that opens it up for AD. For the big men.
Yeah, I like
Um,
how aggressive he is. He looks
mhm.
like when he gets the ball, like if he finds open space, he's running in, and
He's
if he's
taking it.
open, he can make shots too.
Yeah, and he's taking it. So
Yeah, his length is crazy to see him like reach out. He reminds me a lot of Brandon Ingram.
hey, I wanted to ask because there was a lineup that I really liked at that last game. Are there any specific lineups that stand out to you that you've seen so far?
I do like the combination of Montrezl Harrell and Schroeder. I feel like Schroeder with his speed and Harrell with his speed, that combination can come into play in the pick and roll, right? They can get some easy lobs, or Schroeder can come in for an easy layup if they're able to use their speed to their advantage. So I think like when LeBron goes out around the 5 6 minute mark left in the first quarter, and if Harrell comes in, then Harrell, AD, and Schroeder are out there, and I think that's a good lineup. And if you have probably get Marc Gasol out, or he can go out and try to make some threes.
Mhm.
But I like that. I've seen that, and I like the way they look.
Yeah, one lineup that stood out to me against the Grizzlies, and I'd like to see it a little more together. Was they had Anthony Davis, they had Schroeder, Trez, and then two sharpshooters in Wes Matthews and Kyle Kuzma in the corners.
Yeah,
And because they had that pick and roll between Schroeder and either Anthony Davis or Trez
yeah.
with the two sharpshooters in the corner. It was an interesting lineup, and I'm hoping to see that a little more. Keep an eye out for that because I think some really good things happened when those five were on the floor together. I didn't see that at all today. I was kind of looking for it,
Hmm.
but I didn't see it, so I was kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
but definitely looking out for that those five to play together and see what they could do.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I also didn't see like Marc Gasol's specialty, right? The backdoor passes. I didn't see
Correct.
any today, so I feel like they're either the defense is catching up to the plays that they're running, or they're just trying different things, right? So it's either the defense stepping up for the opposite teams, or the Lakers are trying new plays and trying different things. So I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, which it makes sense. Greg Popovich is a smart coach. He's going to take
Yeah,
your best weapons. He's going to make you beat them with your third, fourth, fifth best option. So
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
definitely. Yeah, bro. So
Uh,
so yeah, I think that's it for me with the Lakers and what's going on now. If you don't have anything else, we can talk about, Kobe.
yeah, man. I think last time we alluded to we're going to be having a little Kobe segment. I'm not sure if we're going to do it every show or every other show, something.
Yeah, let's do it every show. There's so much to talk about Kobe, and all we're doing is sharing one story. You know what I mean? And there's 20 seasons that we can share.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm down because we got, again, there's so many, you're right. There's so many Kobe stories. So I text you this one a little bit earlier.
yeah.
It's just something that stood out to me, because it's not something that I feel like many people know. I feel like very, very few people know about kind of this work that Kobe did. And it wasn't highlighted. I don't think he pressed it when it was happening. And not just that, but it's also one of the biggest issues in our city right now. The homelessness issue we have. The most in our state, right? We have the most people experiencing homelessness in the country, and then our cities up there with the top cities in the world. And I just thought I wanted to highlight a little story where Kobe was doing work in Skid Row, trying to inspire people to find a better place within themselves. A lot of times, we are a part of this system that is very unfair to kind of the poorest of us. And in one way or another, people fall uh, to the streets to live in conditions that are beyond kind of like what we can imagine sometimes. But there is a harsh reality that people are experiencing out there in the city. And in 2012, there was a story in the LA Times. Um, Not sure. I think you would you put the link down in the description.
Yeah, definitely. I'll put
Yeah.
that up there for sure.
So basically, Kobe went down to Skid Row and found this um, individual who or talked to a bunch of homeless people, right?
Mhm.
And he was just trying to find inspiration for people to better themselves in there. And I think that in our city, we need more of that. We need more of our heroes, right? People, because Kobe was a hero to so many. We need more of our heroes to highlight these issues, because sometimes it feels like these issues are so far away from us, but they in fact do affect us, right? We pay into the system that then pays, that is supposed to keep this community alive, and keep this community trying to improve the conditions for this community. So um, we had Kobe doing that work, although it wasn't highlighted, and I don't even know the extent of how much work he did in it. But again, it's also, there's a new generation, and the issue has only been magnified, right? So I think we do need at this point some of our local heroes to bring attention to this issue.
Yeah, I'm with you on that for sure. I think um so the story is from 2012, right? So it's been a long time since that first came out, but I'm pretty sure that Kobe did continue to support that I forgot if it was a foundation or a home, a specific home that provided support for homeless people. And and one thing in the story that was cool was that Kobe was highlighting a specific homeless man that inspired him. It's crazy that Kobe is somebody that inspires a lot of us. So it was interesting to see that that Kobe was inspired by a homeless man, and basically he was just highlighting that the homeless man found um, some kind of safety, some kind of strength in building himself and building his own health and being in shape and taking care of himself and being homeless, right? You struggle getting food, and so that the homeless man was super underweight, right? And so through the help that you know uh, Kobe was providing. He was able to put on like 100 pounds and go back to like his normal weight, but still being fit, right? And so Kobe was just like, he's like 58, 60 years old, and he looks better than me. Like he's in better shape than me. And like Kobe is one of the best, was one of the best athletes ever, in shape and all that. So to find somebody else that he thought was at that level or better. I think it was interesting to hear that even though this man that's homeless doesn't have much, right? He still was able to find something within him that he could control, which is your health, right? And taking care of your body. And so I thought that was pretty cool to hear Kobe say that.
Yeah, and just a quick quote from that article, which was an LA Times article from 2012. It's talking about Kobe and how many people he spoke to on the ground in Skid Row, and he's quoted as saying, "I got a lot of people saying, 'Come help us out. I want to turn my life around.'" Right. So we have people like asking for help, begging for help, and to see, a figure like that in Skid Row, I'm sure is, I mean, for us, to see Kobe Bryant would be like a dream come true. Imagine what it would be like for this community. So I'm sure they were extremely happy. And sometimes just bringing a smile to somebody's face can do wonders. And I'm just kind of um googling Kobe Bryant and homelessness. It looks like there was a kind of like a memorial, or Kobe Bryant remembered for his dedication to fighting homelessness is the name of the article.
Mm.
Something else by Spectrum News, where it looks like him and Vanessa Bryant had were continuing work in that community. So again, just wanted to bring attention to that work.
Yeah, I think it's important, right? That again, Kobe Bryant's legacy is that he was humble, right? He was still, even though he was at the top of his game, he was one of the best basketball players. He still figured out ways that he can help people that were in need, right? And he inspired a lot of us, like I said, through basketball, but he was able to help other people out through financial donations and things like that. So that's definitely something that I didn't know about. So thank you for sharing that story. It's definitely not something that was highlighted, much. So that's pretty cool to find that out.
Yeah, man. And again, the main point being that when these figures show up and are on the front lines of um of issues, I think it is just that much more inspiring, and it helps us kind of hold ourselves to a certain standard to fight for what's right and what's just and what's going to improve all of our conditions. Similar to, I know a lot of people, were very moved by the Bernie Sanders movement, in politics. And that was partly because, you saw pictures of him being arrested on the front lines of with signs, so it's similar to that. When you see the figures that you look up to actually in the trenches, it, pushes you to go in that same direction. So absolutely. We remember Kobe for his for all the other times, the memories that he helped us create, uh, through his basketball. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, and this is also for us, right? For us, because we all get caught up in the work that we do, and we, sometimes forget that our communities also need us
Yeah.
to champion, whatever the community needs to be there for, to fight for the community. So
Yeah, man, it's interesting, this story to talk about this now, right? Because it just makes me think, what would Kobe be doing right now during COVID to help LA, right? To help the people that supported him throughout his basketball career. How would he give back during this time, right? It's just interesting question, something to think about.
oh man, and it pains me to know that, like, we kind of like, something in me says that Kobe would be out here for our people, like Kobe would be doing that,
Mhm.
can't say for certain. But I did speak to Jimbo, Jimbo Times, who's a good friend of both of ours,
Mhm.
on his podcast, kind of similar to this issue. And he brought up LeBron James. He brought up LeBron James, who, Jimbo's an activist, thick and, through thick and thin, he's an activist, pushing to make our communities better. One of the points he brought up was he wants to see LeBron James, who's the face of basketball, the face of the Lakers, the face of the NBA, step up for this issue in LA. And I'm like, man, that's putting a lot of pressure, because it's such an intense issue, and LeBron James is regarded as such a leader in the, on the racial injustice front. He's the first few games in the bubble. I remember like him just being highlighted for for his comments on the racial injustice and the Black Lives Matter movement. So uh Jimbo wants to see him do that for the homelessness issue in LA. And I'm like, whoa, I kind of like, I would love to see something, but I don't know if that's gonna happen, because number one, I don't know if LeBron James is invested that much into the community of LA as Kobe was. Kobe was
Yeah.
here since he was
18.
18 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, LeBron's coming here. He's what, 34? It was just his birthday, 35 now.
Mhm.
So we'd love to see that, but we know that his heart is in Cleveland. His heart is always going to be in Cleveland.
Yeah.
But hey, man, we would love to see that from LeBron too.
Yeah, that's a really good point by Jimmy, for sure. I think that that would only help him, right? To have the people of LA see him step up like that, and help out the community in Los Angeles. It would be even more welcoming, right? Because I feel like, as people that have lived here for a long time in LA, us, right, that were raised here in LA, we we people like LeBron, they're outsiders in a sense. Like, they come here to enjoy what LA has to offer, and then they leave, right? Because they're not from here. Like you said, LeBron's heart is in Cleveland. That's where he's from. That's where he's got his school. That's where his roots are. So once he's done with the Lakers, he's not sticking around here. Or if anything, this is going to be his vacation home. You know what I mean? Like, this is just an area where he comes to visit, as opposed to where Kobe built a whole life here. His daughters were in schools here, and doing all that stuff. So, I mean, LeBron has done that too, but he's new. He's still new to the community, new to the city, and so I'm with you in the sense that, he it's a lot to expect from him with everything that he has going on already. With the with something that's bigger than just LA, right? It's something that's involves the whole country, the whole nation. um, and I think that still, to me, is inspiring to watch him push for votes, push for, just the uninterrupted brand that he has with his friends, right? Just for more entertainment, more media, based around people of color. So I think that he's doing things that, to me, are still important. They're still inspiring. They're just not as local as we would expect from somebody like Kobe, for example, right? I think LeBron does very broad moves.
Right, and I think you use the key word. I think expect. You're right. That's a key word. I in my mind, even in my heart, I don't expect LeBron to show up for this fight. You know, but or for this issue, right? But it'd be nice to see him, throw a comment or something to kind of connect with the people too, because
Yeah.
we it and especially now, since like you can't go to Laker games, you really connect with the Lakers, in a way. So there's these organizations, and he brought this up for the Dodgers too. So it's not just for the Lakers. So it was mentioned for the Dodgers as well. But it just feels so distant because we can't, all the only way we're connecting is when we're watching these games, or maybe through social media if we're checking the highlights, or
Hmm.
or things like that. But to throw some attention to some local issues would be really good. And then we get into the debate on, is it, is should sports and politics be separate? Should sports and uh other issues be intermingled? Which we all know they kind of stay separated when it's right, and then when we really need them to, they sports are, pushing boundaries for bringing equality, bringing justice, bringing those issues to the forefront. So
Yeah, I don't like that, man. I don't like that when people say things need to be separated, sports and politics. I think people are people, right? So if LeBron James believes in something and he wants to say it, like he can say it, right? We have that freedom of speech here in this country, and so him, supporting the Black Lives Matter movement and him supporting voting rights, all that stuff. There's no way we can separate sports with that. There's no way that he's a man, he's a person, he's a citizen of the U.S., right? So it just happens that his job is to play basketball. Like that's his work. You know what I mean? Like it's like us, right? Like I work at FedEx as a wellness specialist, but that doesn't mean that I don't have a right to talk about politics. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't make sense. So I think we need to get past, one specific topic. Like if you're a basketball player, stay in your lane, shut up and dribble. That doesn't make sense to me. And whenever I hear things like that, it just makes me think about who are the people that are saying these things, right? Like, what are you doing? Is there some jealousy in here? Like,
mhm.
why are you telling this athlete uh, that he just needs to work, he just needs to do his job and don't worry about anything else that's going on? Don't even say anything about politics. That it just doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Yeah, and that's a good point. You know, which, to me kind of takes us, I don't know if you want to talk about this on the Daily Laker, but
we
I
we uh, we can just finish it out with this. Yeah, go for
yeah.
it, bro. I think
Um
it's important. It's a LA topic. It's Laker
um
related.
and not just that, because I wanted to bring out like what's going on in the world. I think people,
Yeah.
may want to hear what we have to kind of say about what was going on yesterday, because it's like,
Oh yeah, it's huge.
it's pretty big. You get the Capitol building was stormed.
That's not something that I ever expected to see ever in the US. I don't know how that happened. That's something that I would expect to see from countries where the military is more involved in government, or just the people. I don't know, man. It was just such a crazy scene to see all that.
Yeah. Do you have what are your thoughts, kind of just real quick? I know this is a Lakers show and people come to listen to us talk about Lakers and Kobe Bryant, but we also want to, we also are people of, who are living through this moment. So well, I
Yeah.
want people to know a little bit of our thoughts too. I think it's important.
Yeah, definitely. So my thoughts in regard to just what happened yesterday. Well, I don't like it. Obviously, it it was it was scary to see the the mob mentality that the people had, and the reasoning why they stormed the Capitol. Um, I think that that's not the right way to to do it. And I don't know what the right way is, but it's definitely not storming Capitol building, right? And one video that I saw today, real quick, was this woman that got pepper sprayed, and they asked her, what happened? She was like, "Oh, cops pepper sprayed me," and they're like, Why were you go? Why were you? What were you doing?" She's like, "I'm
It's a
going in the Capitol
revolution.
building. It's a revolution." I was so confused. I was like, "Wait, what? No."
So listen to that, right? Listen,
Yeah.
like that specific video, I think it went viral. A bunch of us have seen it.
Yeah.
So in that lady, like she legit feels like that she's right. She feels that strongly that she's right. So
Yeah.
in a way, we've come so far that we disagree on so much. That lady legit feels that that is right. To you and me, that might be like, yo, that's like way wrong. But if we felt that strongly about something, I know for a fact I would act on what I felt was completely right against what is completely wrong. So
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm kind of like, we need to get over this. We need to get over this and come together. Like this is the moment. At this point, we had, people paint politics as left and right. Let's play into that for a second, just for the sake of argument. And um, they'll say the left had their moment where we took the streets, right? We took the streets. There was protests all over the country, fighting injustice, fighting police brutality, fighting, equality for equality. you know Now you have a section of the population who is considered to be on the right, who did what they did yesterday, and which is wrong, which is wrong, is destructive. And that's not to say that there wasn't destruction when there was protests on the left, because there was a plenty of destruction. Believe me, I was out in the streets and I saw people breaking into Belmo, which
Mm.
I thought is wrong, right? I think, so
Yeah.
there was destruction on both sides. I'm not passing judgment on who's right, who's wrong. Point is, we're at this point now, and we're going into a new election season, a new cycle, kind of, with, we're gonna start fresh in a way. I feel like it's our opportunity to come together now. So
I hope so too, man. I think that we've had a lot of lives lost because of COVID, and then on top of that, we have this division between people, right? And the two party system that you mentioned, I don't like it either. I wish there was more options, or at least one more option that was strong enough to make a case um, for their policies, right? And beliefs that are maybe more centered, that can combine, the conservative and liberal ideas, because I feel like we're presented with options that not the majority don't like the options that we have, but we have to choose between those two options. So then we have to choose between you heard this in the last election, like which are the two evils that we want, right? And I think it just makes it so hard, right? It makes it so hard only having two options. So maybe they need to have a 32 team league, just like basketball. and then and then from that, you know what I mean, like come up with one that fits the
do a
best.
playoffs, do a
Yeah.
playoffs.
There you go.
Hey, listen, you are onto something there, because check this out. I mean, we know that sports pushes the boundaries on social movements. So
Hmm.
you might be onto something there, that you make a playoffs. You make a playoffs. I know they have, like, primary season and this and that, but
Yeah.
nah, we got to make playoffs. You got to qualify. And there's
And
certain qualifications that you got to meet. 2 years before, and then 1 year before, and then the month of.
there you go. Yeah. And like make the debates actually debates. You know what I mean? Like actually ask these politicians questions and make them answer the questions instead of fighting with each other and talking shit about each other's wives and kids.
Oh
You
man.
know what I mean? Like that's just such a waste of time. Like so anyways, there's a lot of things that I I think would benefit the country if we changed. And hopefully, with I think one thing that the Biden administration brings is a little bit of calmness. I, I I think we know, with the Democrats being in office, like what to expect in a sense uh, from them, right? Like, um, and so what's interesting for me is that I'm playing the stock market, right? I started last September, and politics, man. they the stock market and politics are so connected, and it's interesting to see how the stock market reacts to all these different news. And for example, with the Democrats being in office, we expect electric vehicles to be pushed. We expect solar companies to be pushed. Um, so those companies are skyrocketing right now. So if you're an investor on those companies, they're skyrocketing. Another thing is banks. They're going up on the expectation that Biden is going to push for another $2,000 stimulus, things like that, right? So it's interesting the connection, um, from that perspective. Just another topic there.
Yeah, man. So come to the Daily Laker. You'll get your Laker talk. You'll get your you get your politics. You'll get some,
Yeah.
local issues addressed by local legends, and you'll get some business talk too. You'll get everything over here.
Oh yeah, man, we got our hands in a lot of things. That's the thing, you know what I mean? We're like Kobe Bryant. Like
Yeah.
Kobe was making, man. So one thing we'll get to eventually, and I'll give you guys a little bit of a preview of what I want to talk about. So Kobe Bryant had this company called Granity Studios, and
Hmm.
man, he was making books, he was making podcasts. The one of his podcasts is called The Punies. If you guys haven't listened to that, go check that out. One of the best podcasts there is. Um, he had his show that he got an Oscar for. Like, man, he was making moves, and so those are the type of things that I want to talk about because he was a great basketball player, but he also did some things in his short retirement years. You know what I mean? Like after he retired, like he only had about like 3 years, and he started building things, and he was gonna come up with his own shoe company called Mamba. So man, he was just making some moves, and so those are some of the things that I want to talk about. So a little,
Little preview.
cliffhanger there.
Yeah, a little cliffhanger, little preview.
Yes, sir.
All right, Ed. You
Yeah,
got
cool.
anything else you want to say to the people?
I think for today I'm good. I think I've expressed myself a lot. We both have, but yeah, man. No, I'm still, I love the Lakers. I love LA, and I want to continue to talk about basketball and whatever else comes around, LA and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for everybody checking in. This is our what episode is this, man? We
For
gotta
us, this is probably like, well, I think we started since game one or maybe game two, so maybe like this is episode six, five or
yeah, we're
six.
we're we're a few episodes in, so we'll
Yeah,
see we'll see how far we make it, and we'll see who's still with us
the end of the season
yeah, at the end
when
of
the
the season.
Lakers got their second ring in a row.
Yeah, with the second chip, we'll see that. All right, brother, you have yourself a good night and a good rest of the weekend, and I'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. You too, brother. Take care, Sal.
All right, bye.
Peace.